clouds continue to hang low over the islands as we leave Sand Point and head east for a return visit to dramatic Castle Cape and Castle Bay. We have little hope of seeing the peaks, but much to our surprise and delight, the veil is drawn aside, and they are revealed to us in all their glory. Their lower slopes clothed in emerald green. Leaving Castle Cape, we pass towering peaks and bizarre sea stacks. We anchor off Sutwick Island and go ashore onto a beach littered with logs. The nearest trees are hundreds of miles from here, and their bleached skeletons bear the scars of many months at sea. Some are riddled with the burrows of teredo worms. Piles of kelp clutter the beach, along with some man-made debris. A bright orange starfish lies stranded on the volcanic sand. We are surprised to see bare footprints on this island, which lies so distant from the mainland. We keep a wary lookout, being especially careful of entering caves like the one on the right, but we see no bears. Wildflowers sprout from crevices in the rocks. The sailing yacht Santana has joined us here. We say farewell to Jan and Trace as they now plan to follow an alternative route. Sunrise floods the landscape and Santana in golden light. The hillsides are draped in a mantle of soft green velvet. Across the Shelikof Strait, we can see the volcanoes and snow-capped mountains on the distant Alaska Peninsula. The The strait is in a state of rare calm, and we see many whales in the distance. Dull dolphins explode from the water, but do not stay long. The southern extremity of Kodiak Island appears on the horizon. Following a tip from another cruiser, we are heading towards the Ocean Beauty Cannery in Lazy Bay. As we approach, we disturb a blizzard of gulls. We anchor in the bay and go ashore to the Aleutians Packing Company, established in 1917 and employing some 200 people. Most are seasonal workers from around the world. This Hollywood sign on the hillside is an example of the whimsy that is a feature of this place. We go to meet the manager, Woody Keeble. His office is a virtual museum with shelves laden with photos, fossils, bones and artifacts accumulated from 20 years of local beachcombing. These include this beautiful and rare example of scrimshaw. Woody offers us a tour of the facility, which is immaculate. He takes us to his unofficial museum, which houses items too large to fit into his office. These include a 100-year-old wooden fishing dory and tools from years past, many salvaged from abandoned canneries. A few steam ovens remain for limited canning, although most of the processing these days is done by refrigeration. We are photographed framed by the jawbone of a fin whale. Aleutians even has its own mini national park, populated by skinny, bizarre characters. This one is clearly a guy. Even the bike rack has its own whimsical style. Woody has created a small, non-denominational chapel to meet the needs of transient people of many faiths and beliefs. We are invited to enjoy a tasty lunch at the plant, and we reciprocate by inviting Woody for a meal aboard Venture. The following morning finds us crammed among commercial fishing boats alongside battle-scarred pilings, where Woody has kindly agreed for us to take on some fuel.
That's it.
Having discharged her load, the tender Nighthawk heads out once more to act as a link between Aleutians and local fishermen. The season lasts 5 months, and we later learn that the total for 2015 is an astounding 20 million pounds of salmon. An almost incredible figure for this one facility, given that Alaska fisheries are rigorously monitored to ensure that the catch is sustainable.
Sure, it's free.
We head through the Narrows into Olga Bay. We drop anchor in front of some derelict buildings. The bay is home to many set netters who live ashore in houses backed by hillsides so green they would dazzle a leprechaun. One end of the net is attached to the land and the other to a float in the water. Trapped salmon are collected and delivered to a tender which takes them to Aleutians. This is a seasonal occupation, and when not involved in fishing, set netters may be university professors or living as far away as Cape Town. Our plan had been to follow the west coast of Kodiak Island and make the acquaintance of some of these interesting folk before recrossing the Shelikof Strait for a second visit to Geographic. But when we come to raise the anchor in front of this abandoned cannery, the winch quits. Fortunately, not until after the anchor clears the water. Chris and Steve work on the problem undercover, but the motor is shot. Without the winch, we have no choice but to head directly up the east coast to Kodiak, 125 miles away. We passed the spot where the shell platform Kuluk broke free from its tow in waves exceeding 50 feet and ran aground in the early hours of 2013. We have no trouble identifying the exact location using this photograph and comparing it with the chart. Kodiak has good reason to be leery of the oil companies. In 2012, their fishing industry, vital to the town's very survival, was devastated by the oil spill from the Exxon Valdez. There is a fish opening, and the harbour is almost empty when we arrive. Our misfortune with the windlass has put us ahead of schedule, giving us more time to learn about Kodiak and its Russian heritage, typified by this magnificent church. We attend a balalaika recital by a local group in the Baranov Museum, an original Russian structure dating from 1810. Kodiak has a number of interesting museums, including the National Wildlife Center, which features a skeleton of this grey whale, which washed up on a local beach. In the next video, we will travel beyond the city and learn more about Kodiak Island and its history, before we set off across the Gulf of Alaska, direct for Sitka.